US and Israeli strikes continue to rain down on Iran, a country that has lost its supreme leader. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, and it's hard to ascertain exactly what the Trump administration's goals in Iran actually are. As US and Israeli strikes continue, along with Iranian strikes in retaliation across the region, the burning question remains how far the US will go and how long they will continue. Here's now the US President addressing that particular question in Washington, D.C.
We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that.
Now, the US and Israel launched the attacks on Iran together, but when it comes to their ultimate objectives, it seems they may be at odds. Let's take a listen first to US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and then to what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had to say today.
We would not mind, we would not be heartbroken, and we hope that the Iranian people can overthrow this government and establish a new future for that country. We would love for that to be possible. But the objective of this mission is the destruction of their ballistic missile capabilities and of their naval capabilities.
We embarked on this campaign in order to push back renewed existential threats against us. We also set out to create the conditions for the brave Iranian people to cast off the yoke of tyranny. The day when they can do this is approaching, and we are bringing it closer. When I say we, I mean us and our steadfast ally, the United States, and my very steadfast friend, President Trump.
Now, our guest on this topic is author and analyst Stephen Simon. He's a senior research fellow at the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft, a distinguished fellow and visiting professor at Dartmouth College. He wrote the book Grand Delusion, The Rise and Fall of American Ambition in the Middle East. He's also served as the National Security Council Senior Director for Counterterrorism in the Clinton White House and for the Middle East and North Africa in the Obama White House. Stephen Simon, great to talk to you.
Likewise. Fire away.
So these strikes continue from the US and Israeli, the attacks on Iran, and the Americans have been doing talking today. We heard a little bit of it on the way to talk to you. Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth, along with Marco Rubio and the President, who we heard from as well. Do you feel, though, like we know exactly what the US wants to achieve and how far they are willing to go to get it in Iran?
I don't think we do know, because the administration has talked in terms of 3 war aims and 3 justifications. Really, the one is the threat that Marco Rubio referred to, which was the nuclear and ballistic missile threat, and the administration decided that it needed to deal with those threats right now for some reason, even though there's no consensus view within the intelligence community that there is a threat from either of those two sources to the United States. Second is what the president called payback for all the deaths that the Iranians have inflicted on Americans since the revolution in 1979, and so that's payback is another justification. And lastly, there is intervention in Iran for the purpose of supporting a revolution against the regime. So those are the three things that the administration has advanced thus far.
How far would Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel like this operation to go?
Well, I'm not really convinced that Netanyahu is the prime mover here. I think the president is doing it because he thinks this is in his interest, and not because he thinks it's in Benjamin Netanyahu's interest or for that matter, Israel's interest. He's got his own concerns, I think, that he's trying to meet in pursuing these objectives.
Right. And so we have this strange confluence, though, that they are walking together. Are Israel and the United States really in lockstep here then? Do they want exactly the same thing?
Probably not. At the end of the day, I think the United States under Trump will be satisfied with some limited gains and an interim agreement on the nuclear and ballistic missile issue that meets the president's needs, at least for the near to medium term, which is really only 3 years because he's out of office, after that point. And I can't see him being too concerned about what happens after he leaves. So I think that's what the United States would be happy with, something along those lines. Netanyahu was talking about something much more sweeping, which is a decisive change of regime in Iran. That is to say, not one that simply results in the removal of Khamenei, which has already been achieved, but one which roots out the regime completely, the deep regime, and eliminates it from its position of power and substitutes it for something else, perhaps a return of the monarchy under the Pahlavi name, or perhaps some other arrangement, or perhaps simply chaos, anarchy in Iran, a civil war. But I don't think that's where the United States is going to wind up.
You know better than anyone how Trump and with Netanyahu didn't just break the norms of how America deals with Iran, that they smashed it by sending B-2 bombers to hit Iranian soil directly. If it is that they want regime change, is it really possible to achieve that from the air?
Well, it hasn't been possible thus far historically. I would take it with a big grain of salt. Although if you look at the way the United States is staging its air attacks now, it looks as though they're going for the local repositories of regime control in far-flung areas of the country. So hitting the police, the internal security forces, and so forth, in order to prepare the ground for a popular revolt of some kind. I'm quite skeptical, and I don't think that the United States has the staying power or the patience to achieve those goals.
The Supreme Leader's gone. Many of his leadership group are also gone. The Americans say 1,000 of the Revolutionary Guard who had previously taken orders from the Ayatollah are gone as well. How much of a force are the Revolutionary Guard at this point?
I would say that in terms of maintaining the internal order in Iran, I think they're quite formidable. There are about 150,000 of them at a minimum. They're extremely well armed, and their survival depends on the survival of the regime. So they're highly incentivized to take whatever action is necessary to keep that regime in power. So I know it's perverse. It seems perverse to say this, but I have high confidence in the RGC ability to maintain the regime's control throughout Iran.
Are they the single most important player now in this conflict moving forward? If we're talking about whether the regime has completely changed or not, are they now pretty much central to this story?
Yeah, I think they am. I mean, I think they are. You're going to need the regime to negotiate some ceasefire with the United States. They've reached out to the United States, this we know, and President Trump has said he's willing to talk to them. And we know what there is to talk about. And it will concern nuclear enrichment on the one hand and controls on the ballistic missile program on the other. And I would have thought that the Iranian regime would be prepared to make rather large compromises in those areas in order to maintain control of the state and reconsolidate their power in the wake of the punishing blows that have been inflicted on it.
They say hope is not a strategy, but Donald Trump wants the Iranian people, or hopes the Iranian people will rise up against the Revolutionary Guard. Is that asking just an awful lot of the people, given what's transpired in the last 3 months?
Yeah, the regime has shown its willingness to shed whatever blood it needs to shed in order to stay in power. I think Iranians get that message, and they're going to hunker down. I can't see them taking the kinds of risks that would be necessary to overthrow this regime. There are many Iranians, I have no doubt, who wish the regime would just be gone and would like perhaps almost any alternative. But at this point, I think Iranians understand that they have to be prepared to risk their lives for that to happen. And that's a big ask.
The United States pushed for and got regime change in Iraq. Do you subscribe to the theory that that Second Gulf War helped make Iran the force it is today in the region?
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, Iran had just one strategic adversary in the region, and that was Iraq. And the United States, in one fell swoop, removed Iraq as a strategic adversary, and in effect handed substantial control over events in Iraq to Iran. It was a massive own goal on the part of the United States.
What are the chances then, Stephen, that this attack directly on Iran makes it easier for extremism and terrorism to rise in the region, particularly if we don't get to that end goal of regime change?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I think the Iranians will do what they think they need to do to draw the blood of their tormentors, in particular the United States and Israel. And there are many, many embassies around the world that the Iranian agents could attack. There are many ways that they can kill American civilians in other ways. And we know, of course, that Iran doesn't have a very good capability to strike the United States at home on its own soil. But there are Americans everywhere, including American troops throughout the Middle East. So I think there are a lot of potential targets for Iranian terrorists if the regime decides to unleash them.
Stephen Simon, the author of Grand Delusion, The Rise and Fall of American Ambition in the Middle East. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Likewise, and thank you for the opportunity.
Right, that's where we're going to leave it for now on DW News. Don't forget, you can always log into dw.com for more at any time. And social media channels as well are really important. The handle you need is @DW News for more at any time of day. Bye for now.